Hey guys, what's up? Welcome back here to today's edition of The Fishing Teacher, and really appreciate you guys swinging by the channel to check today's video out. Got just a short video for y'all today. I want to talk about how often you should respool your line. This is something that it's not as simple as what it seems. There's a lot of different variables to that. So I'm going to give you guys some tips and advice and sort of let you know how often you need to respool so you don't have any break-offs when you're fishing out there. Also, guys, before we started, I just want to extend a big thank you to everybody out there. I know you guys get tired of hearing it, but thank you very much for everybody that's been supporting the Fishing Teacher here by using all the links that I put in the description. If you guys are, one of those viewers that use those links, like my Tackle Warehouse link, that's really helping out the channel, so I really appreciate that. Okay, when it comes to respooling, there's a lot of different factors involved with that. Now, I'm talking about respooling fluorocarbon line pretty much, and monofilament line too. Not really talking about the braided line quite so much, although we will get into it a little bit. First of all, let me cover the braided line real quick. I don't use braided line very often. If I do use braided line, it's usually for like pitching and flipping matted vegetation or fishing a frog. I don't use braid to fluorocarbon ever. One thing that a little tip I'll give you on braid, you can use braid a long time, but sometimes throughout the course of the season, just reverse it. In other words, tie part of your braid onto a tree somewhere, take all the braid off your line, come back and put the other side on to put it on in reverse. That way you'll have some fresh color. In terms of, the fray and anything, you're not going to have to worry about that much. But mainly I just want to talk about fluorocarbon and a monofilament line with that. Now, first of all, there's couple different reasons why you need to respool. The fact that the line gets old is not probably the least, it's probably the least most important reason why people do that, because most people don't leave line on that long because it gets kinked up, it gets coiled a little bit, especially mono. And most people that watch this channel, they fish frequently, so it's not like their rod and reels go for years without respooling, so that's not really an issue. Here's the times that you need to respool. The number one time that you need to respool your line is if you've made a cast and you've got a backlash that's like a really big backlash, like you've had to pick it out and put pressure on it to get that backlash out. When you get a backlash on fluorocarbon line, you just about have to take that line off because it will fracture and it will damage that line severely. If you have a severe backlash where it takes you a long time to pick it up and the line's all kinked and everything, you're going to break that line. So anytime that you get a bad backlash, you might as well just carry an extra spool of line in the boat with you and respool it, because it's going to cost you for sure. The other time you want to respool is if you start having enough break-offs or you retie enough to where your line's getting too shallow on the spool. Because regardless if you're using a spinning reel or a bait caster, if your line gets lower on the spool, you're going to lose casting distance. Not only are you going to lose casting distance, but you're going to lose your speed of retrieve. You're going to have a lot slower retrieve with less line on there. So, excuse me. So as if your line starts getting used up a little bit, tie it on the, do some respooling there. Another time is if you get some deep frays in your line. Say, for example, you're fishing a deep brush pile and a fish gets you caught up in that brush pile down in 20 foot of water. Sometimes you may have frays 15 or 20 foot up your line, you don't know. So always check your line, determine if you need to respool with that. But overall, that's the main thing. Just don't let your line get too low on the spool, and never take it for granted that after you pick out a backlash that your line's okay, because it's not. Probably 9 times out of 10, if you're using fluorocarbon fishing line and you get a bad backlash, you have weakened your line test at least 50%, maybe 75%. And a lot of times what will happen is you'll cast and your lure will break off in midair if you've had a bad backlash. So anyway, that's just a few thoughts on that. I hope it helps you guys not lose some fish, and we'll check in later.